Howdy, I am Charlie Simons, your host here on Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about, politics and religion. That's all I heard when I was growing up. Don't talk about it, too divisive. I think that was bad advice. We should have never stopped talking about it. The silent majority has finally found its voice. Thank God. Now it just needs to get louder. People like my guests here, Dale and Kaysha Richardson, um, have an example of why we never need to sit down and shut up. We need to get more bold. We need to get louder, and we need to stand up against evil. There's one scripture that powers this show, and it has from the beginning. That's Ephesians 5:11. Be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's what I do, and that's what they're about to do on my show. Before I get to them, though, I would like to ask you to do me a favor. Two things. First, it'll help the algorithms, and that helps with the whole social media thing and all that, because they hate conservative Christian podcasters like me, and they do everything they can to kind of bury us and put us in the back to where you don't really see what we do. But when you like this show, I know it doesn't seem like much, but it really works. When you like, and if you comment too, that really makes a difference. So if you don't mind liking right now, thank you. Wherever you're watching, at rumble.com/do not talk, or on Facebook or on YouTube, if you could like this, that would help. And then share it when we're done, because more people need to hear what's going on. These folks are in Canada who I'm about to talk to and have on the show. And my other favor I wanted to ask you too is go to my website, charliesimons.com. Facebook deleted every single one of my pages a little over a month ago. Every one. Because I violated community standards. They didn't explain what the standards were, and I certainly know they weren't talking to my community. But they're gone. 40,000 people. Boom. Suddenly I'm out of their life. They don't know where to find me. They don't know what I'm doing. So if you go to my website, you'll always find shows there, and you can always keep in touch with me and contact me there. You can even book a guest slot for yourself on this show. Heck yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. So you can find me at charliesimons.com. That's charliesimons.com. CharlieSimons.com. You can help financially there. There's several different ways, including Venmo, venmo.com/do not talk. That'd be a tremendous help. If you can just buy me a cup of coffee, whatever you can do, that'd be nice. Buy me a cup of coffee. Buy me a tank of gas if you can do that too. That'd be nice. So I can go to the LA, California Republican Convention. And also, what else can you do there? Oh, the merch store. You buy all kinds of fun merchandise, shirts, hats, cups. It's all going to benefit the show. You're going to be helping it out tremendously. And you'll get something nice out of it too. And it's all really good quality. You'll find it all at charliesimons.com. All right, let's get into it. Let's meet Dale and Kaysha on Do Not Talk. You ready? Hit it.
Oh. I can't hear you now. Something went with the volume.
I fully blew it. My apologies. How much time
Fine.
do you got? How much time do I have with you?
I mean, it was booked for 90 minutes or something like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, as much time as we need. All right, I'm sorry. I'll start again. Stand by. I'm sorry. My apologies, sincerely. Stupid live. That's what happens if you're watching live right now. That's what happened, and that stuff happens. So let me get my intro ready again. I'm gonna have to go through all that. Dang it. No, I won't. I'll pick it up from here. How about that? Hey, welcome to the big old bad old broadcast. How are y'all?
I'm doing all right.
Just all right. Well, let's see if we can make it better. You're up in Canada, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Are you having the
Yes.
same crap going on with grooming of children in schools that we are down here in the United States?
It's actually
Yeah.
worse here than it is there.
Yeah.
I don't know how it could be worse. I mean, we literally have porn in school libraries.
Well,
And
yes, they
anytime anybody, any of our elected representatives or anybody says, hey, this is wrong, we got to end this, we got to put a stop to this, they start screaming about, oh, they want to ban books. They're banning books. That's all they're interested in. Yeah. You know what? In school libraries, I am. I am interested in banning books. I don't want those freaking books in my school libraries for children. This is insane. Have you? I'm sure you've seen some of the books, haven't you? I've showed actual pages of it, and I've read transcripts of these books on the air before, and people are just outraged. Have you
it's
seen them?
actually, yes, the books are the actually the lesser of the two problems. Believe it or not. Oh yes.
Tell me
And
more. Tell me more.
I've been looking into this for months now, and like they have, like, you had to talk about Pornhub and the stuff that they were doing, and they weren't verified, and so they weren't verifying users, and it was easy for kids to get on. Well, there's a ton more tube sites like Pornhub that are like that and easy to access, and in Canada they don't have anything, any type of restriction. You might have to click a button
No,
if
I was that's not true. Dale Wild is that right? No, Wild. I'm not thinking of his first name right now. He's a journalist up there in Canada, and they have restricted anybody from even seeing his channel in the entire nation of Canada. You can't
yes,
watch him.
but they're not
So they
restricting
can do it,
pornography. Yes, but they're not
Yeah, but they're
restricting
not
pornography.
restricting
but
pornography. I mean,
porn for kids all day long.
yeah.
Yes,
And
go ahead.
even out east in the Maritimes, I think it was, they were giving
$28,000
children,
fines.
no, but children who were like 12 years of age and younger, I think as young as 9, if you wanted to go to the bar at drag queen hour, you could get drinks, alcohol. They were promoting this. This is crazy. So then they're putting the kids who are being indoctrinated with this filth at school also in the environment where they can be around these drag queens and drinking alcohol while they're performing. So it is worse. Believe it or not, it is worse here in Canada. It's bad.
The one thing I did want to say though is that it's the way that this is done. You have the tech companies that are allowing free access to things and putting, and some of them, like, I always heard about the Roblox game where they're actually now advertising and the pornography into these children and getting predators and different places. So these kids are now, kids as young as 6 years old are watching pornography. You're watching, there's a lot of violent pornography, there's a lot of things that will feminize men, and there's a lot of this LGBTQ. And the guy from Pornhub, when we were talking on a podcast last night, where we had a clip of it, and the guy said that he says he doesn't see a problem with using it to change people's minds. Like if they're confused, then it'll help them decide whether or not they want to be LGBTQ. And when you look at this and you look at the amount of detransitioners that are telling you that people are being groomed in this and they're manipulating them to do this, and then the books that they're having are reinforcing what they're already watching
Mhm.
on the internet. And so they're talking about what the pornography does only to the boys in respect to what do they do to the girls, but they're not talking about the damage that it does, because a lot of the content is going to feminize the men. They're trying to push them into this LGBTQ, the bisexual, all these deviant forms. Then the girls, if they're watching it, they're going to say that these types of things are acceptable, or they're going to shut down or become hypersexualized. And when they become hypersexualized, what are they going to do? They're going to go out and they're going to start doing it again. And you're going to have a bunch of, like, basically Jezebels trying to create a bunch of Ahabs, and we can't have that.
Yeah, and the Roblox thing, like even there was a young boy who was working with the police and reported a bunch of legitimate predators on Roblox that were preying on kids because they said they're just openly predators on there. And he got a lot of them caught and arrested. And Roblox attacked the boy, the minor, and now going after the boy for getting these people arrested through Roblox. So it's like some of these places are even protecting these predators and giving so that they'll have more access to children.
They basically said they're going to, because they broke the terms of service, they're going
Yeah.
to kick him off and protect the pedophiles.
Yeah.
That's what they're using, because they're like, okay, you might have broke the terms of service, but you saved children from being
Right.
raped. I mean, it seems like a fair trade-off. A terms of
I
service is a
know.
minor thing. A kid getting raped is a
Yeah.
huge thing,
The life-changing thing.
right? And this is what we're seeing, where people are using
Yep.
these rules, policies, and so
Policies.
forth to allow people to get trafficked, raped,
Right.
murdered, and all of these things. And this is no different than what the Pharisees were doing during Jesus' time. They would
Yeah.
give all these rules that were impossible to keep, but yet they were plotting to murder Jesus.
Yeah.
And they were engaged in that filth, because when he sent Stephen, when Stephen came to the Sanhedrin, he said, "As your fathers worship Moloch, so do ye." And that's when they went nuts and killed him.
Yeah.
So they were engaging
Yep.
this. Jesus knew that he was dealing with people dealing with the same filth that
This
he
is
was
all
born.
demonic. It's all demonic. It's all satanic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it
Absolutely it
is.
The worst part is it seems to be so ensconced in government and government officials, and especially the unelected bureaucrats who are pushing an agenda. And you're right, it is to feminize boys, to make everything like a non-sexual, kind of like everybody is whatever they want to be, regardless of how the Lord created them. And you call it LGBTQ. I don't play their games. I don't let the left dictate the English language to me. It's homosexuality. That's what it is. And they don't want anybody using those terms and associating with what they do, because it reminds you of what they do. Like even back in the 70s when they, or even earlier when they started calling them gay. We're not homosexuals, we're gay. And then, of course, the females who are homosexual couldn't be known as female homosexuals, so they're lesbian. What the hell is a lesbian? You're from the Isle of Lesbo? What is that? And the trans thing, I don't know about in Canada, but down here, 0.5% of the population claim to be transsexuals or transgender or whatever you want to call it. It's an extremely small minority, but yet they're dictating what they're teaching children in schools over this sexual choice, this lifestyle. And it is a choice. You always have a choice. You could choose not to actually partake in that. Even if you have those tendencies, you can choose not to partake. So it's every time they say, "Oh, we don't have a choice. We were born this way." Shut up. Just shut up. We're indoctrinated that way.
Yes,
It is it's indoctrination and it's choice.
From what I'm looking at, what they're doing in the schools and how these things happen, people like to use the term that this evolved this way. I'm like, listen, man, my background is mechanical engineering. I'm a technologist. I got a bachelor's degree. With the amount of brain power that it takes to design the smallest systems, you're going to tell me that the most complex things just happen by random happenstance? That we have to work so hard to design these things, but these complicated systems that work like a well-oiled machine, they just happen randomly? You're lying. First of all, I can tell you right now, with the way that it operates and how the one hand fits another, this is demonstration of sheer intent, because they can make anybody disappear. They can make anybody slip through the cracks that they want to. It can be done at will. And if you look at my case and my daughter's case, like, you'll see this happening 100% of the time. Like, it is statistically impossible to have hundreds, if not thousands, of errors go in favor of everybody else but you. It's just not possible.
Yeah, even if you threw random darts in the dark and just randomly tried a bunch of different things, some things have to stick. When 100% of things are like going completely 0% in your favor, that shows that something is rigged. It is literally impossible. Statistically, that's impossible.
Even the devil. Sorry, just one second. Even the devil, every word that comes out of his mouth isn't a lie. He twists enough of the truth to make it a lie, but every single word isn't a lie.
Right. That's impossible.
Good point.
People would never believe it.
Are you still in school, Kaysha?
I was taking mechanical engineering for a while, but obviously, all the persecution we've had over the years, I'm not in school.
No. So, how long have you been out of high school?
I graduated in 2015. Sorry.
2015. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, high school. Yeah, I'm 28 years of age now, so I did some university.
Okay. And what was that like?
Which high school or university?
Both.
Well, well, high school. I did experience quite a bit of indoctrination in high school, and I did participate a bit in the trans ideology for a bit because I was a little bit confused. I wanted to get top surgery and all that, and my dad was like, "No, that's demonic, not in my house." So he just prayed with me,
Good
had
job, Dad.
Bible studies. Yeah, he took me to the gym. He's like, "If you don't like things about your body, we're going to the gym. You're gonna lift these weights. Come back in a couple months." And I didn't even bother because I was like, forget it, I'm already ripped.
I'm already ripped.
So yeah, but a
Were
lot of
they encouraging you in high school, going to high school? I guess that's when this happened. Were they encouraging you to do that?
well, in a high school, like we took some different classes. I went a little bit in Alberta and a little bit in Saskatchewan because we moved out there. My dad worked in the rigs at the time. And they told us that you can be a girl with a boyfriend, a girl with a boy brain and a boy with a girl brain, and that was just normal. They also showed us a lot of studies from early psychologists who got most of their studies on gender fluidity from pedophiles who had they took their studies from the abuse that they did to small children and to get these things. And so we did a lot of research in class in different psychology and other things like that. Sometimes we had teachers give us
in high school.
In high school, and they gave us course material from university level courses to give us some of this information. So I remember doing the research projects on stuff like this, and the counselors as well, they also are in favor of whatever the school wants to push. They always try to tell you, okay, well, your parents don't know better. They don't know, like, because they're from an older time.
Yeah, don't tell your parents.
They intentionally try to separate you. Exactly. So for me, like, I cut all my hair. I started dressing really neutral. I felt like a failure as a female. I'm like, okay, obviously I suck at this. And I think it's particularly more common for women who
suck at this.
No, like I think
being a girl.
I think it's more I think it's more common though for women to feel that way when they're not really feminist as well, because like feminism in society, like especially in school, push you need to be super materialistic, you need to be like money hungry, you need to be like with all these different boys. And for girls who are more like laid back and or Christian, like especially if you've gone through certain abuses, like I was trafficked as a child in foster care system and had a lot of bad things happen to me. So it was very hard for me to like place myself with just women in society. And I was like, if this is what it has to be, like constantly fake hair, fake nails, all these bags, like I don't want anything to do with that. So then you kind of like revert backwards as rebellion, thinking that's like the only other option, because you don't really see any. We don't really have very many Proverbs 31 women propped up in society. And I wasn't raised with my mom. I was raised with my father. So
yes, one of the things that I wanted to sit down and say is that they're going after Christians. We were looking back at the women's suffrage movement at the beginning, and they said they didn't trust people who knew what God wanted for them. And they basically wanted to divest society from God, because when you look at creation and people talk about, oh, it's just a random book. I'm like, I look at the creation week and what God is doing. He's laying out a design plan like an engineer would. This is where we get that type of thing. Everything is dependent on the next thing. And then he gets to the most complicated thing and he is demonstrating by action. And then when he puts Adam into the garden first, he watches Adam do on a smaller scale in the garden what he just did, because he created the circumstances for his children to thrive. Then Adam went to create the circumstances for his wife to thrive that he didn't create yet. But then God created his wife, and then they said, okay, there you go. And so then there were well-defined roles based on this. And you could tell the difference between the way that Adam and Eve talked to God after the fall, because Eve was just like terrified and was like the snake. People were like, oh, Adam blamed Eve. No, he didn't. He blamed God. He said, the woman that you gave me.
You
He
gave me.
gave
That's
me
a good
this
point.
woman.
That's a good point.
You gave this to me, so you were the
did
one
this.
who created the circumstances for me to do this.
Yeah.
So this is your fault,
God was like, absolutely not.
right? And so that shows
I
you
never thought of it that way. That's fantastic.
yes.
Oh my
So
goodness.
Adam is thinking under pressure, under the threat of death, because what did God tell Adam? Because he didn't tell this
You
to
will
Eve.
surely die.
He said, you will surely die. He said that to Adam. Adam was responsible to tell his wife, right? And so he failed to protect his wife, because people were like, well, Adam had to be standing there. I'm like, no, he couldn't.
Yeah.
Because you're going to tell me that he sat there and wanted to murder her in his heart? Because he knew exactly what would have happened. So it was impossible. Would you stand there and let somebody basically violate your wife? You wouldn't.
No.
Because you had your obligation to protect. So I mean, if he was standing there, the devil couldn't do it that way. It's like if a man came up to your wife, could he come and violate your wife in front of you? No,
not as long as I have breath in my body.
Exactly. No. Because if you did, you hated your wife, and God would have talked to him differently and say, well, why did you murder your wife? Right? Because he could read his heart. Why would he say, well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So regardless of this, fact of the matter is that you see there are very different roles for men and women. Women have the most important role of rearing the young, but men have to make the circumstances for them to thrive, to nurture those children. And if the men don't do the job, the women can't. God made them interdependent on each other so that you couldn't have one working without the other. Because if women had the ability to do what men could do, they would be like, we don't need you. Piss off. And right. And if men could do what women could do, the same thing would happen. So even though the man leads, which that word submit that people have a huge problem with, it's actually a military term. The word in the Greek that Paul uses says, wives, submit to your husbands. It's like follow the leader in this war, because we're at war.
I like to put it this way in nautical terms. If there isn't a captain of a ship, there's bedlam. There's got to be one person that is calling the shots for everyone. That doesn't make them necessarily better, smarter, bigger, better. They just have a little bit more experience, a little bit more knowledge. So they've been promoted to the point of being able to pilot that ship and call all the shots. That's got to be the same with a husband and wife situation. And I hear this a lot from my own fellow Christian sisters in the faith, is saying, "Well, I'll submit to him when he's a good leader." Well, I don't think the Bible says that. I don't think it says that at all. You're to pray for him. You could pray for him to be a better leader. You could encourage him, but that's not what's been happening in families. So much of this is part of the whole Communist Manifesto. You realize that, don't you?
Oh, yes.
The turn of the 20th century and the prevalence and the growth of communism, and the whole plan of the Communist Manifesto is you start with the kids. You start with the kids, you start with the families. And you disrupt and you destroy, you dismantle, and then we'll build our little Star Trek utopia, and it'll all be good. Which Canada's been marching headlong into that under Justin Trudeau. What the heck was that? What were y'all thinking?
Well, I think that, like how you mentioned that you hear a lot of this from like your Christian sisters. I think what a lot of people don't really think about maybe is the fact that a lot of the things that women are doing today is behaviors that they've learned from their mothers. Like literally, that's why being a mother is such an important responsibility. Like even a lot of the primary people who are affected even by the trans ideology are women. Women are the ones that are primarily mutilating themselves. Even if men are participating in trans ideology, they're rarely getting the surgery. It's mostly women. And that's because they're a lot more emotional. And today, what I've noticed growing up, there's a lot of women who didn't affirm their daughters' femininity in
value, yeah,
Christ.
the
You know, they
value
did
and
not,
right.
yeah, they didn't affirm who they are. They didn't teach them how to be a respectful and honorable and loving, submissive wife to a husband, or a mother who is
Because they
loving and
themselves were
nurturing.
not.
Yeah, they never seen the example. So then a lot of women in my generation, they're going around confused, not knowing how to do that, and then they're set up in a way where they have to compete against men and told that they have to be men to succeed and also get the affirmations of men. And then by the time they're in that situation, it's destroying them mentally because they just can't keep up, because God didn't make us to do the same things. We have very special and important gifts and roles. They're just completely different.
And one thing I want to add that most people overlook: when God created Adam and Eve and he married them, he rested from his work of creation. That told you that once he married them, that the image of God was complete in mankind. Only will you see the full reflection of the image of God in mankind in a married couple, because they are designed to be together, to replicate, to have children, to understand God in a way that the angels do not, right? Because God created a completely new order of being. Because when you look at when he went to talk to Job and this in Job and the sons of God, these were other people that were not from earth, because the devil's like, I'm here from earth. But he also says the angels don't marry like we do. So there's a controversy between some of the angels. Well, what does God need? Because we're all his children, except he needed somebody that can understand his side. This is why we have children, because we understand God from, and the devil came to taint the jury, except it's going to blow up in his face, because it's like, you know, we're the ex-alcoholics now going to judge the alcoholics, and it ain't going to fly, because we understand from experience what that's like, and it's going to be worse for him, because there's going to be no doubts in our mind, because we're like, Jesus had to come and die for us so that we could be here and not with you. So not today, Satan. We ain't got nothing to hear about it, right? And so we have to go and listen to what God has to say. We have those well-defined rules, and feminism had to destroy that in order for it to progress, and it placed women outside of the security of loving men to protect them from predatory men.
And they wouldn't have a problem even picking men if we went back to the traditional way of your father vetting men who want to court you. Never in history have men had such unhinged free range access to women the way that they do now. You never able was even to talk to women for no reason unless it was in a public space where the family was there so that you could be monitored. Because if you were talking to a girl in private, someone would come and beat the living daylights out of you, assuming that you're either trying to do filth to her or set her up in some way, because the very view of that could cause people to lose assets, resources, social position, and all sorts of things. And it damages the girl as well, because it puts her in a very vulnerable position, and the man. So it's like, if we as women had the men in our lives, some of them don't. I have a father, which is amazing. I'm blessed. But if more of the women who did have fathers actually trusted and respected them in those processes, they would be able to have men that they could respect and serve. And it wouldn't be, oh, well, I'll respect him when he's worth being respected. It's, I will trust him because my father I trust, and he said this is a good guy, and I also like him. And, you know, if my father through experience is a great guy and is checking this guy and says that he's good, then I can trust that. But women don't have that anymore. Like, they're not doing that. And what we're doing in the modern world, it just doesn't work. It's never been done in history before until like a couple hundred years ago.
I I love mama bears. I thank God for mama bears. So many of them taking it to the school boards when all this started coming out. One of the only good things that came out of that COVID shutdown were these stay-at-home moms or working from home moms who were seeing what these teachers, and I use that term loosely, were vomiting out to these kids who were watching their classes online. And so many of them are going, I'm sorry, what? What did she just say? What did he just tell you? Did he just say that? and they started showing up at school board meetings, and the race was on. Thank God for them. But
Yep.
the Papa Bears are never given any kind of credit. But you want to see a
Yep.
real Papa Bear show up at Kaysha's door saying, "Hey, I want to date your daughter." Right?
Well,
Right
that
now?
that that's really it. Like the women are there; they're going to pay attention to all
Yeah.
the details, and then they come and talk to the men. This is where the men
Yeah.
now have to go out and make the changes, because if you have 100 women coming in there, or as opposed to 100 men coming in there,
Yes.
the men have the or else factor.
Mhm.
That would
Because
make
if
a huge difference, wouldn't it, if they actually
Yeah.
showed up at these school board meetings? I've been saying that for a long time. Where are the Papa Bears?
exactly, because they don't want to start trying to throw it 100
Yeah.
men that are sitting down and saying you're violating our
Yep.
children.
Yeah.
Right? It's completely different, because they know that that could go sideways very quick.
Yep.
And judges, they can't sit down and get angry at fathers protecting their children, especially when it comes to sexual predators.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I
Like,
think that's why they also don't want women in the home anymore with their children, because those moms were able to pay attention to those things because they were home with their children
Good
as
point.
they're going through these processes.
Good
When
point.
women entered the workforce in the more corporate way they did in the last couple decades,
Especially
the
after
rise in
actually it really
kidnapping and
started up.
abuse to children went up.
It really,
Pardon?
go ahead. Oh, I was going to say it
Oh,
really
sorry.
started up after the Second World War. That was when so many women
Yes.
started entering the workplace.
Yes,
Um,
and as soon as that happened, the offenses against children like exacerbated, like it went crazy, because now the women don't even see what's going on with their kids, and they're vulnerable, and they can't even go and tell the husband, okay, this is what's going on with our kid, for the husband to even go out and gather all the men and be like, this is what they're doing to our kids, let's deal with it, like they're completely destroying the fabric of the home.
I don't know if you have anything similar to the Boy Scouts of America, but I'll never forget in the 90s, this was when Bill Clinton, another one of the worst presidents we've ever had, Bill Clinton was in power. There was this war started up against the BSA, Boy Scouts of America, and it was from the homosexual community screaming that their policy, we do not allow homosexuals to be scout leaders. No, we're not going to, because they indoctrinate. Well, the homosexual community, which is even much stronger and louder and more financially backed now than ever before, lost their freaking minds, their little girly minds. They just lost their minds and started screaming against it and protesting against it and boycotting them and everything else. It was a big, big deal how they would not allow homosexual scout leaders. Again, I don't call them gay. I don't call them LGBTQ. They're homosexuals. So they're not going to allow them to go in. Look what happened to the BSA. They've been just absolutely destroyed, and there really is nothing anymore. There's the Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts didn't seem to have a problem with it. Girl Scouts are still flourishing, and they have their cookie sale every year. But the Boy Scouts, gone. It's gone. And that was a
That's so
great
sad.
leadership program for boys. And now it's been taken away, and it was all. And oh, and by the way, when they did start to allow homosexual scout leaders, look what happened. Now there's a whole flurry of lawsuits against the BSA for sexual molestation from scout leaders. Just like they were afraid it was going to happen. That is what happened.
Well, what people are not looking at, and this is where when I started to objectively look at this stuff, and like I ended up starting this because my daughter was sexually assaulted again, to shut me up when I came forward, because when they came after me and they couldn't stop me, they went after my children. My youngest daughter, I haven't seen her for 5 years. Like, I got completely destroyed. I have documents from Freedom of Information requests that the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, they fabricated a narrative to make me look like I was crazy, to basically disregard the research that I did during school on HVAC infection controls, which is how you prevent aerosolized pathogens, bioweapons, from being transmitted through the air. And so when you look at what happens here, and I started to look into this, and there was a girl that she was a porn star, and she went into this place because there's that girls do porn, and they got charged for sex trafficking. There was another group called facial abuse, and that was like what sounded like what happened to my daughter. And I'm like, wait a second, these guys must be getting this from somewhere if they're watching these kinds of degrading type of thing. So I began to examine this and so forth. And some people want to politicize abuse. I'm a Christian. My Bible tells me to love your neighbor as you love yourself. I don't care what political favor you are. If somebody's raping a kid, I don't care. That person needs to go to prison, because
Oh,
nobody.
Jesus was very clear on what should be done. He didn't say they should do it to themselves, but what should be done to anyone who causes any of these young ones to stumble. Very,
Well,
very clear.
well,
And
yes.
when I posted that scripture one time, Facebook deleted it, and that was a strike against me, and I got reprimanded by them and everything, threatened to do what they finally did. They shut down my pages altogether. But it was all I did was quote that scripture about Jesus said, if you cause any of these young ones to stumble, it would be better for you if a heavy millstone were to be tied around your neck and you were to be cast into the sea. He didn't say it would be better if you did that to yourself. He said it would be better if it were to be done to you.
Yes, and you know what? He's just reiterating what he said in Leviticus, because what did he say in Leviticus? He said, if you Moloch worship, we know that that's killing a child, but also in Deuteronomy, it tells you that raping a woman is like rising up and slaying your neighbor. So you can understand that if you either rape the child or you kill the child, it's effectively the same, because sometimes they say kill when it comes to Moloch worship, and
They're
other
scarred
times they
for life.
just say destroy, which doesn't necessarily always mean kill, but when you rape the child, you destroy them.
They're
And
scarred for life, mentally and
what
physically scarred for life.
but
Yeah.
he said that you get the death penalty if you participate, but if you see it and do nothing, you get the death penalty too.
Yeah.
Because you're just as bad, because you're allowing them, because you go back and read it.
You didn't
He said
stop
to
it.
stone him if you see it, and if you don't, you get stoned too.
Yeah. Because who would protect a pedophile or a rapist
The-
unless you're a pedophile
You're
and a
gonna go and
rapist?
kill some child or rape them? Like what? And you're gonna sit down and say, this is none of my business?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Kaysha, I don't know what happened to you. You can go into as much detail if you want to, but I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Is this what happened when you said you were in foster care for a few years?
Well, when I was younger, but also when my dad started whistleblowing about the improper contagion mitigations for the COVID pandemic before the lockdowns in 2020.
Well, it was after the first of the lockdowns.
Well, yeah, but the persecution started, I'm saying,
yeah.
like after that, like people started coming after me. And
Yeah.
after that, then I had a series of people who sexually assaulted me, pulled guns on me, drugged, beat me, held me, like so many. I was attacked by pit bulls, like so many bad things happened. And people
Was this while you were in college?
No, this was after. I'll give you the context of why this happened. When I came out in early 2020, I showed that the engineering controls that they should use to properly mitigate the pandemic. And I said that, I showed a way that people actually save money in doing so, extend the life of their system, and they wouldn't have to lock down, because then the government would have to come in and explain why they were doing it wrong. And that the hammer came down. And now, as we see that COVID was created through gain of function, that the Chinese were sending the Nipah virus, Ebola, and other pathogens down to Wuhan, where they were putting together COVID. And there was a paper that said that they found the Nipah virus in the spike proteins, the Bangladesh strain, where the only place they got that from was Canada, was now found in the spike proteins in patients at the end of 2019 when they came out. And they at first thought it was a Nipah virus outbreak, but they realized that it was COVID that was sequenced at Wuhan, right? So now you have the way that the engineering controls that the CDC put out that are ineffective, and they're going to cause a bunch of failures because a lot of people didn't know what they were doing. They gave it to people during the rest and so forth. So you're going to be able to spread a biological weapon very easily. So I come here and say, look, man, you need to fix this. And I won't say take no for an answer, because my first thought was my kid could die, someone else's kid could die, or somebody. Don't do this. Well, the next thing I found, I was strapped to a bed, drugged against my will. They created a whole narrative to say that I was crazy, and they had all this stuff going on. Well, yes, and they said that I reported stuff stolen, and I have the video of the RCMP arresting us, going into the court against them, right? And there was a family matter, both on first appearances. The court told them to keep us out of the court. I got arrested. They took me, strapped me to a bed, drugged me against my will.
Who's
They
they?
said
The Royal
the
Canadian
police.
Mounted Police?
Oh yes, yes. And then when that happened, they gave away my youngest daughter, who was already abducted by her mother, which is a crime under Canadian law. And then they gave her the house I was living in. Everything was given over to her. And then at the end of the divorce, they said, "Oh, we're severing the division of property sine die because we're just not going to deal with it." But they did it on the first day, which is unlawful. So at that point in time, while I was strapped to a bed and drugged against my will, my daughter was a guy took her out to Turner Valley and near Turner Valley, Alberta, our Black Diamond, and he sexually assaulted her there. Sexually assaulted her in the States a bunch of times. And she actually tried to file a report in Volusia County, and we have the statements. They didn't notarize them, and when they did, she came back to get something notarized. They didn't put the file number on it, so they couldn't go ahead and process it. And they didn't send the body cam footage or any of the interview notes to Canada, so that this all ended up happening. And so people were trying to say that my daughter was making all of this nonsense, but no, it was all of these steps that were taken that were preventing her from actually going ahead and filing the police reports, which she did, right? And they impeded the investigation. Why? Because people asked me, "Well, what do you want?" I said, "I want justice. I don't give a damn about money, because money's no good for me when I'm standing in front of the judgment seat of Christ." Sorry. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So what do they want to do? This is why they don't like Christians, because the Christians say, "God didn't tell me to do that." Too bad, right?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
So,
And then the
Kaysha,
whole
you
time-
got targeted
go ahead.
to attack your father.
Yes, and what's even more messed up about this, all these people that were hunting me down and abusing me, sexually assaulting me, all these things, while they are doing these evil things to me, they're telling me, "Oh, your dad is a criminal. Your dad's a bad person. Oh, your dad's crazy. This engineering stuff doesn't make sense. Oh, you need to report him for this." I had judges threaten me with law enforcement and using criminal like things against me if I didn't make fake charges against my father and other people. Like the people don't understand the things that it does to you mentally while they're actually actively abusing you in disgusting ways, like raping, beating, drugging, holding you at gunpoint. All you're forced to live with these people, and they're also actively telling you lies about your parents. And I'm like, I know this is not true. I suffered with my dad back home. I watched everything happen. Plus, I know my father. I was raised with him. He got me back out of permanent ward of the Crown when I was a couple years old. One of two people in Winnipeg in the 90s, and the other one was a woman. I tell people all the time that shows what kind of man my father is. Plus, he was studying to be a neurosurgeon at the time and dropped school to make sure that he could get me back. So it's like he's a pretty upstanding guy, and he was only like 22 at the time. So I'm like, you can't tell me that my experience throughout my whole life with my father is a lie. But this is what they do to torture women into turning on their husbands, their fathers, their children, their family. They abuse them in egregious ways, start telling them lies, and put these images in their mind that are not real. Truly disgusting things people said to me that are fake, that make me want to vomit. I'm like, how could you even come up with something this sick and twisted? Because I've never in my life thought to look at someone and be like,
yes,
"Oh, you must be dealing with this." Who looks at someone and says, "Your father's a rapist"? What? I've never said that to anyone in my life. I've never even thought of that. So it's like the stuff that I experienced the last couple of years, a lot of people would have unalived themselves, because the stuff that people do in this way, I can't even begin to put words to how evil and egregious it is. It's hard enough living with the flashbacks of the rape that people did to me and the abuse that they did to me, on top of what they're constantly pressing me to believe about my dad. I watch my dad fighting every single day to try and help other people and help his own family, and all the attacks he gets. And people consistently come to me unannounced, trying to set me up, to set my dad up. And I just, this morning I even was crying because I was like, I'm tired. I'm like, I'm tired. Why one man who has nothing, who's been completely destroyed, have everything stripped of him just for trying to help people? Why? Like, I can't wrap my head around why the world is so evil right now. Like, I can't. It doesn't make
Because
sense
they're
to me
doing the
because I wasn't
devil's work
born that
just as
way.
quickly as possible, for his time is short.
Yeah.
That's why. I see. So
Yes.
I've seen things that I wish I wouldn't have now. I've seen things that I wasn't even looking for online, wasn't even searching for that. And the next thing I know, I'm like, what the? Where did this come from? If
The-
I can stumble across this filth and crap and treachery
That's
and demonic
exactly it.
sexual
And kids are
deviancy,
seeing it.
then the children certainly can easily and quickly. And I
Yep.
don't know about you all, but when I was a kid, I was curious. I was sexually definitely curious. I was a randy boy, and now that I've been saved and cleansed through the blood of Christ Jesus, thank you, Lord, amen and amen. Um, I see it now because I pray for discernment, which the word tells us to do. Pray for discernment. What is of the Lord, what is not. Um, People don't ask for that. Even Christians don't seem to ask for that anymore. They don't pray for discernment. They don't pray for any of this. And they're getting indoctrinated in horrible and horrific ways and going, well, it sounds good, looks good. He sounded nice. Oh, she said the right words, so I'm going to vote for her. And now look where we are. I don't know where we come back from all of this. I do believe personally that we are definitely in the final days.
Oh
Um,
yes.
Yeah.
and the best thing we can do right now is more than ever before, hunker down and get right with the Lord. Get right with the
Yeah.
Lord, but
It-
also fight against evil. Don't stop. Don't sit back. Remember, Jesus said, and this always bothered me, Dale and Kaysha, bothered me for a long time until the Holy Spirit really revealed it to me. I used to read Jesus saying, be gentle as doves, but wise as serpents. And I thought, why serpents? Serpents represent evil, serpents represent the devil. And oh, I get it. We do have to know their plans. We do have to know what they're all about. We have to understand it. And we have to speak out against it and speak in the public like the apostles did. We got to stand up and stand out and speak out against this. And you are, Dale, right? What's going on with this aerosol research thing that you're so involved in? What is that?
it- well, when they create the biological weapons, because in 2018, part of the Diffuse project, Peter Daszak and the Eco Health Alliance went to DARPA to ask them to finance them spreading vaccines to bats in caves through spike proteins using aerosols. This is when they create biological weapons. This is how they spread them. Now, engineering, in you look
Like
on
spraying in
ASHRAE,
the air.
yes, and they do it indoors because you can recycle it. And during very hot times or very cold times, you're going to recycle the air because you're going to recycle a portion of it because of the cost. So they know that if they poison you indoors, it's going to be more effective. So you go to ASHRAE, and this is the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. They'll tell you 80% of your infection controls, at least, and some as high as 90, is from proper HVAC infection controls. So dilution, destruction, and filtration is how you'll get rid of a lot of this stuff. So if they use proper engineering controls, businesses wouldn't have large portion wouldn't have needed to shut down. They could have managed it by making the changes to their HVAC systems, saving money in
Not
the
by
long
keeping your
runs.
filters clean.
Yes, and it's like doing preventative maintenance, oil changes on your car, right? Like, and so I was like, my business plan was to help people stay open, and especially churches and so forth, because I was like, there was the bubonic plague in Europe. There was all kinds of diseases. I never heard of churches ever shutting down before, right?
No.
No, they're there to help people in times of crisis, but this is not what they wanted. So when I went forward with this, they would have had to then start and ask, why is it that you did not use proper engineering controls? And then when I started to look at all of the different types of the different pandemic response preparedness, none of them talked about, no one had engineers or engineering technologists at all. This is a failure, systemic failure. And when I look at this, when I see this, this is what you do if you want to spread biological weapons through aerosols, because you get all the unqualified people to talk about it. Because the information that I handed over to, say, Lauren Boebert and other places, if they had brought that to the select hearing, they would have been able to say, first of all, Peter Daszak, you have no ability to say whether or not those engineering controls in those BSL labs were adequate. And in fact, they were not, because they had Nipah virus there, which is a level 4 pathogen. And they said they worked it in level 2 conditions. That is how you're going to create a leak. So this is national security interest. And
who's doing this?
What?
And,
This is,
and what end? I mean, I know what end, but what do you think?
well, I mean, if you wanted to, from what I look at, they're wanting to spread biological weapons. And in here in Canada, they straight out said that China will use biological weapons to further their geopolitical agenda. And they did. They did. Like gain of function. The COVID Select Committee said this is gain of function. So now you've got your delivery system for your gain of function weapons. That's called treason in my books.
It's more than that. It's murder.
Yes, that too. But I mean, for the political objective.
To what end, though, Dale? My question is, to what end? Why would they do that? Why would they want to eradicate tremendous amounts of the population?
Well, first of all, the devil wants to have everybody on his side, and he's got to get rid of. He's got to get rid of the Christians. He's got to get rid of the men that are going to stand up and do God's will. And this, if you look at COVID,
that's the feminization of men. Yeah, they're looking for long term. Get men who are not going to fight back. They're going to sit back and just roll right over for everything.
And COVID, if you look at COVID and you read the book of Acts, COVID was there designed to cut off everything that was done in the book of Acts, because the churches went house to house and person to person contact. COVID cut that off, restricted movements and all of these things, restricted worship and everything. It is, the devil was using it to cheat, and he wanted to wipe us out and find out who we are.
You had pastors up there who were literally arrested while they were in the middle of a church service.
Yes.
That happened down here too, but it wasn't publicized. I didn't see so much of it as I did out of Canada. Did you see all of that? Did they allow you to see that up there in Canada?
Oh yeah. They didn't care. Yeah. A lot of people didn't care. Right?
They probably liked it. That's great. Get rid of those Christians. That's kind of where we are in society now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately. It's because there's so many people who say they're Christians, but they're not.
Yeah.
Like, I understand what it, like, I mean, like, I did drugs when I was younger, and I mean, I did a lot of stupid things. Let's just put it that way. You do drugs and things like that, they don't mix. But then when it came down,
at me, buddy. Fingers pointing at me.
Yes. So then I mean, God came and said, you know what? Okay. I said, all right, Jesus, I'm done running. I'm going to do what you say. Things changed around. I know where I came from. I know things that I saw. And human trafficking and drug trafficking go hand in hand. I've seen this thing like crazy, and I cannot stand it. Right? And when I came with my daughter, I got her back from Child and Family Services. They took her no provocation. I still to this day don't know why they took her, but I got her back. And you know what their lawyer said? Child and Family Services will never come back in your face again, because they took my daughter. They tried to provoke me by doing all of these things. I never gave into it because I knew that if I responded, what would happen. They did the same thing with my younger daughter. They went after both of my daughters to shut me up because I was like, no. And for what? Because I'm like, don't kill people? Like, really? But then wherever I look, the traders and the human traffickers, they go hand in hand. They work together. They have the same mentality, because a trader and a pedophile are the two people that nobody can tolerate.
Yep.
Nobody. And so they're strange bedfellows, and they're easy to control, the pedophiles, because what are they going to do? Nobody's going to forgive them for what they did, right? So they're going to just do whatever you tell them to. Yeah,
working so hard, and that's a lot of this porn in school libraries. They're trying to make it normal, trying to make it just just another choice, just another lifestyle choice. You can do what you want, and they're making it normal. Down here, these idiots are calling it minor attracted persons. They don't even call them pedophiles anymore. On shows like mine right here, if I actually cared about what the social media people think, the platforms like YouTube and so on, I would be bleeping that out. I'd be cutting it out. I wouldn't come right out and say pedo or pedophile, child rapers. I wouldn't be saying any of that because
Uh,
they will take this show down. But I don't care, and I'm on Rumble, so
Yep.
you YouTube, screw you.
Yep.
That's my attitude. But that's how that's being accomplished make it seem normal, make it seem like it's
Yeah.
just another choice,
I
we
think that's why
despite what it does to the children.
Yeah, I think
They
that's
don't
also why they are avoiding dealing with children who are homosexual, because if they actually dig deep into what's going on with those children, they'll find out most of them have been raped. And they're actually acting out as a result of
It's very
them
common.
being groomed and raped by somebody,
Very
and
common.
they're covering for pedophiles by saying, oh, LGBTQIA. No, that's not what it is. Your child has gone through sexual abuse or some other kind of grooming or trauma, and you're using that and covering up for pedophiles. Like, that's just straight
Even
up what
showing
it
but
them
is.
images, like what they're doing in these books, even showing them images and talking about it before their minds are developed to really accept that kind of stuff.
Yep.
but you
They
have to
don't have the capacity to accept that, but you've just introduced it. That's a trauma.
Yep. Yes,
yes,
it
but
is.
a lot of the times, by the time they're getting those books, they've already seen it
Yeah.
in pornography.
Yeah, like statistically in Canada, the social workers did put out some statistics in Canada saying that the earliest that children engage in sex is kindergarten. That's not possible. That's
But
abuse.
they're watching the kids, they're getting put on the devices, they're watching pornography. Kids can use devices naturally, they're inherently can figure them out. So they're watching pornography as kids, and then they get the books in the schools to reinforce it,
And
and then
show
you
them.
have the teachers and the social workers making them feel good and saying that we can help you. Your parents, they don't know what they're doing. This is how pedophiles and
Yep.
child traffickers work.
They isolate you from
This
your
is what
family and
they
then
do.
groom
When
you.
you see somebody
Oh
isolating them
yeah.
from the
No,
stability
Kaysha's
of
right.
their
That's
family,
that's part of the way they do. They make you think that they're all friendly to you online.
Yeah.
They send you a friend request on their little Facebook pages and so on, and start chatting them up and getting friendly with them. And next thing you know, they're meeting. They're meeting at the mall. They're getting together for lunch, and then they start asking leading questions and encouraging them to speak poorly of their parents or their family or whatever
Yeah.
else. And next thing you know, they're off to the races. And that's how they start, don't
Yeah.
they?
Or they'll give leading questions. Like, even these institutions are set up to do this. So, like, schools, counselors, shelters are all organized to isolate young children or even people from their support systems, their family, their parents, and they will encourage you to isolate yourself from them, because then they can indoctrinate you, they can do evil things to you, they can abuse you, and then when you're alone, then what are you going to do? Because they've isolated you completely and you have nothing. You're stuck with them, and you're at their mercy at that point.
and
So satanic.
what I'm going to say here is we have to pick our battles right now, and the most important battle is getting the pornography out of the hands of children. I'm not a person that I'm not a fan of pornography. Say that right now. But at the end of the day, right now, even people who are in pornography that have children should understand that they don't want their children getting raped, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, I've talked to women and people who've left pornography because they saw what they were teaching the kids, that they were saying that they were normalizing pedophilia and incest and all these other things, and they were like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And if they're seeing this at this point in time, what does that tell us? Right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, they're making you they have things. They had a documentary, I think it was Exodus Cry or somebody did this, that talked about some of this stuff. And the guy's dad, his name I think is Max Hardcore, and he talked about how he would get
Hardcore. His
yeah,
last name is Hardcore.
yeah, he was a porn guy, right? But he was pushing
Max
this
Hardcore.
he was pushing this like pedophilia type content
Yeah.
and
Of
so
course,
forth.
'cause it sells.
And then listen to the way that he talked about it.
It was sick.
But if you're a child and you watch this, you're gonna think that it's normal for a grown adult to have sex with children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they dress
Yeah.
them like kids. They said they have them that ambiguous age from, like, what, 12 to 17, 18, that's how they dress them. And if you see the little sparkly light up shoes and stuff and kids clothing that they dress them up in, any kid that sees that is going to assume that's another kid having sex with an adult, and then they're just going to go and let that happen. And they say they dress those people on purpose to look like their 12-year-old girl. The hair, like the colorful things in their hair, the sparkly light up shoes that like an 8-year-old would even wear.
Yeah.
And these girls are tiny.
Yeah, they sell the fantasy of this. And you know what the thing is? They said that the stepmother, stepson pornography, that is considered for women. And you're seeing a lot of teachers now that are molesting young boys.
Every week.
Can guarantee you that this is part of the reason why, because nobody's talking what the effects of the pornography on the women are. They're not. They're talking about all what the man does to the women, but they're not even talking about how it damages the man as much. They're just talking about the effects of the women. They're not talking about what the effects of the pornography on the women are. And this is where we need to start really taking stock and dealing with this, because the children need to be protected. Now, what somebody does, they have a choice to sin or not. That's not my telling them not to do it. What I can tell you right now, you put something in front of a child and they do not have the capacity to deal with that, that's a crime.
Yeah.
Because if I bought a porn DVD and I handed it to a kid, I would go to prison. So why should they be able to flood that through the internet to give to that child to go and do what 1,000 pedophiles could not do? Because now they're going to get the kid to start pushing the button to go groom himself, and they're going to feed the algorithm to wire his brain where he has no ability to defend it. And some of these women, one of the women, she said, she's a porn star. She's like, I influence people to do sexual things. And then another woman talked about how she got a grown man because he was following her for so long that he got him to watch a transgender scene because she did a scene with a transgender woman. And then now he moved it over to being able to enjoy that now. And that's conditioning. But what is going to
making it normal? Making it normal is another choice.
But to a child, that's going to happen at a rapid pace.
Of
they
course,
have no defense against it, none
honestly,
whatsoever.
If I were 7, even I was 7 and 8 years old, and somebody handed me, of course, in my time, it would be a videotape of porn. I'd wait until my mom and dad weren't around, and I would watch it. I most certainly would, because I would have been curious.
Yes.
So we're like, well, we're just giving them a choice. We're just showing them a different way so they don't feel badly about themselves if they have these feelings and thoughts. First of all, they have these feelings and thoughts because you put them there.
Exactly.
Yes, and they don't. Their brains are not fully.
They'll look, because we have not been taught. We don't know. We don't have the mind capacity. We don't have the brain power to go, this is going to scar me for the rest of my days. I think I say no to this. No, what kid says no to that?
There's actually a neurological study. These neuroscientists said that kids do not have the wiring in their brain, the judgment centers to actually tell them not to do something. So I guess that's why when kids see Spider-Man, they're jumping off the couch by the end of the movie, like flipping their wrists and stuff. But it's the same thing with pornography.
With a blanket.
Yeah. Exactly, that's what kids do.
I did.
And then by the time they see the pornography,
Batman, by the way, not Spider-Man.
Well, by the time a kid sees pornography and they're a young kid, they don't have the wiring in their brain to tell them, oh, I shouldn't try this. Their brain is just going to be like, okay, go try it. And they're going to start doing it to other kids, because kids will practice immediately what they just saw. That's just a child. And it's evil because it's setting that kid up to be groomed, to be raped, to be abused, and then also to do that to other children. And that it immediately happens that way.
And they accomplish this by allowing to make women think that, and men that think that they're the same. Because men and women, they do not think the same. I grew up with 5 women. There's no way on God's green earth. And things, the way that men read actions. This is why we're visual, why we'll get taken in by what we see. This is the devil understood this. He used the words to beguile Eve, and then he used the woman to put Adam between a rock and a hard place. That's exactly and this is what you see again over and over again, but they try to act like they're the same. And the men I watch them do this. They're playing dumb, like they don't know what they're doing, but I'm watching them lead the women down into a wrong path. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I refuse to do it. And some women think that, well, oh, you made me feel bad. I'm like, well, you know what? A good man's going to tell you the truth. He's not going
Yeah.
to lie to you, right? Sometimes it doesn't feel good, but it's better. Like I tell my daughter, I'd rather you be angry and alive than feel good and dead, right?
Yeah.
Because it's how they snare you. They make you feel good, sweep you off your feet. The next thing you know, they're punching your lights out and taking you off in the back somewhere, and you're going to do this or else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Kate, you said earlier that you thought you sucked as a girl. Do you think you suck as a woman?
You know, not quite anymore. I think my father taught me a lot of things through like capability, and that's why I guess having a good father is important, especially because even if you go through some of those things, the discipline and structure they give you to reason things out is a lot better. So I can look at things and be like, oh well, I've done this and this, and I've proven that I'm competent and capable in these areas, so I can feel justified in that competence. It's grounded on something foundational. However, it's kind of difficult when you're in a position as a woman, like many of us are today, fighting for things that we're not built to do the way men are, because not as many men may not know about it, or they're not standing up about it. And so you're put in a very compromising position where you're comparing yourself against men because you're stuck in a place that you're just bound to fail. Like the work that I do with my father, I should have never had to do, but who else was going to do it? It was just us there when all of this was going on. So it's like that makes it very hard, because I can't even focus on being a woman the way God has made me to be, because we're so many of us, just like my dad and I, so many people in society are stuck in this evil that's happening right now in the world, that we
Oh yeah.
cannot function as proper homes with men and women and having proper families.
It's
Yeah,
got to be so tough. I'll tell you what, Dale. I'm glad I'm over that age. I don't know.
it-
I don't know if I could survive on the way things are now. But let me ask you both this. This has been going on for so long. This indoctrination of children, this grooming of children has been going on our entire lives, really. Started early.
yes,
And it's only gotten worse and more prevalent and more out in the open. And it got out in the open thanks to, again, mama bears showing up at school board meetings and starting to scream about what they're teaching the children. And now it's not stopping. It's not stopping because the men aren't showing up. I believe that's a lot of it. But are we beyond the pale now? Are we past the point of no return? Can we fix all of this with all these children who have been groomed and indoctrinated and lied to their entire childhood?
I'll put it this way. I'm like, there's like with men, this is impossible, but not for God. For with God, all things are possible. And even though
Amen.
I can't see it, God can do anything as long as we trust Him. And I think what we need right now, we need an army of Elijahs to go on Mount Carmel and to call on the name of the Lord,
You know where that's
right?
happening, don't you, Dale? You know where that's happening, right? This is
Where
happening all over the world, especially in Europe. And people your age, Kaysha, and younger even, are turning to the Lord in numbers not seen. And the media, of course, is not talking about it, not covering it, but it's happening. Some of the biggest underground churches in the world are in China and in other communist countries. The Lord is making things happen, and people are seeing the light. And I think this generation that we have now are going to be the ones who truly make change and stand up for what's right. You and I started it, Dale. We've started it. We've spoken up. We've stuck our necks out. We've been slapped. We've been hit. We've been knocked down. But we never quit. We get back up again. And that's the sign of a good man. It's not getting knocked down in the fight. It's whether you get back up again. And we keep
yes,
getting back up again. I'm not going to quit. I know you're not going to quit. But Kaysha, and the ball is in your court now, because we're getting to an age now where we're passing this world on to you, my friend.
Well, I think for me to continue the way in any capacity in which my dad is doing, I'll have to have a very good husband that can, lead me and work together with me, and we can do the will of God together, and raise more soldiers for the kingdom, because the things that I can do by myself would be far more accentuated and exacerbated tenfold plus of what I'm doing with my father if I had a husband. And I think that's why the society right now wants to destroy marriage and the family and home, because the work that we do together as men and women, like my dad said, completes the image of God. And this is what people need to see to come to Christ. And this is what people need to see to bring this country back to some sense of unity and peace and prosperity. So I'm really hoping that we get more of that in our society going forward. I pray God blesses me with a husband that I can do that good work with, because I agree. You can't give up. You can never give up.
Yeah. I wouldn't lie, having a God-fearing wife would be a good thing as well. But I mean, my daughter needs to get a husband more than I need a wife, because I can survive a lot longer, right? I mean, but at the end of the day, anybody knows, and this is why they destroy the families, because a man, when he loves a woman, he will go through brick walls, he will go through burning buildings, he'll tear the entire world down. When he comes to protect his family, he will rip the world apart to save his family. This is why Jesus had to become a man, so that he could reveal the will of the Father, because that was the external stuff that we see, the internal stuff, the women, the nurturing. That's the stuff of the side of God that we don't see, but he does those things. So he created the woman for those things. But that Father that's going to go after and deal with things, that's the stuff that we see of God coming out when he goes and he pours his wrath out and he gives consequences. That's the Father. And then he also had to go through that suffering to protect. And this is where, when men lead, that is, Jesus set the example. He said, you serve your family. That's how they lead. They follow you like you follow me, because you see what I've done for you. And when the women see that what the men are doing, that they cannot do them for themselves, but they're doing it to show the love of Christ, because Christ is the one who saved us and we can never repay it, then the women will follow his lead into the battle, the spiritual battle, which we need to do. And men need to start speaking by their actions. And us older guys, we need to teach this to the younger generation, because they want to do something, but they don't know what to do. And we have to use our wisdom to share it with them, so that they can go and direct them where they need to go, because they're the one being left with this dumpster fire. Right?
This is dumpster fire. How do we follow your work and what you're doing, Dale and Kaysha?
Well, you can reach me on at DGS Richardson on X. I'm also on the Karis Project on X, Rumble, Facebook. There's a YouTube, but I mean, we don't have as much content because
we can't. Hang on a second. What's the Karis Project? What is that? How do you spell it?
It's right there on the screen. The Karis Project, Karis Project, like it's on under their nameplates, right?
Got it. Yeah.
That's the podcast that my daughter started, and we both do, and we put on as much as we can. We do it from a Christian perspective. We pray every time we have a guest on, and so forth. And we just tell it like it is, because they don't want Christians to talk. They don't like. As far as I'm concerned, if you serve God, I'll work with you, because this isn't about a denominational issue, because they are going to kill us all and say, let God sort it out. They just want us all dead. They want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So it's really it. So I'm like, God will sort that out. But right now we need to make sure we can have religious debates after. We just don't want to have the people killing us now. Right?
Very good point. So where do we find the Karis Project? On YouTube, Rumble, where are you?
YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, BitChute. We're also on X.
Yeah. Instagram. We're on everything. My personal account, Kaysha Rick, so KAYSHARIC. You can find me on X. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, all those places. And the Karis Project, like my dad said, we host that together.
And we want to hear more from Christian people, and we want to start making the connections, because we need to, I believe in the practical Christianity. Like, there's people that have a lot of head knowledge and a lot of theoretical knowledge, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I read and learn my Bible a lot, but I need to put that into practice. Mm-hmm. If I can't apply it, then there's no point. Jesus was a carpenter. He was a practical person. He was very intelligent. He watched people, but he put it into practice. And we need to learn how to put these things into practice, because saying faith, like they said, faith without works is dead. And faith with works don't save you, but your works are a product of your faith, because if you are saved by grace, God changes you. He doesn't leave you as a child of the devil when you come to Him. Sure, it takes time because we're dumb, but we have to keep coming back to Him, and we're growing like little children that don't walk right away. But you keep coming to Him, He's going to bear with you. He's going to change you over time as long as you let
Amen.
Him, right?
And one of the biggest lies the devil tells people, I've heard so many when I've invited them to church, join me, whatever, please come to the Bible study with me. Oh, if I even set foot into a church, I'm sure I would burst into flames. Gosh, that's funny. No, not really. Actually, I've heard it before. Stop saying that. That's not something to joke about. And they'll say, well, I have to get my life together before I go to church. Yeah. Really? That's the last thing you need to concern yourself with. There's no better way than to go to Jesus first, wherever you are, wherever you are. It doesn't matter. You could be what you think at the lowest of lows. I've murdered people. I've done this. I've done that. And what are you going to do to
Exactly.
fix all that before you decide you're going to go to church and find out about God? Come on. So I agree with you fully, and I want to see you do well. I'm really glad you reached out to me and you were on my show, and you're welcome back anytime. You got anything else going on? You know how to schedule to be on my show now. I'd love to see your name on there again. Come on back
All right.
anytime. Any final
We will
thoughts
definitely
before
do
we
it.
go?
Well, one thing I'm going to say is that we need to go back to the Bible. We need to go back and we need to rebuild our families.
Yeah.
Because we have to rebuild the families while we're going after the people, because
Yeah.
families are how we transmit our morals and values. And when fathers are in the home, the people will retain the Christian religion more than when the fathers are not. Because mothers are there to lay down the foundation of the character. Fathers are then to prepare the child for the external world outside. And the mother does the job, then the father's job becomes easier. And they work together. But we need to go back to that. And men, we have to start leading by example. This will never end until we start doing what we do, because when we submit ourselves to God and let God lead in our lives, the women will follow suit, because they're going to want a man. And when they see men that they cannot control and they cannot conquer, they will submit, because a man who submits to God is unstoppable, right? It's really all there is to it. God is the X factor we all need.
Anytime I've heard somebody screaming and whining and complaining about male or what is it? Masculine toxic. What do they call them?
Toxic
Toxic
masculinity.
masculinity.
That's it. My response is always the same. And
I mean, Jesus must have been the most toxic masculine man, because he set the bar of what,
yeah,
like,
it's
I
time to
mean,
overturn some tables. It's
oh
time to
yes,
overturn some tables.
oh yes, it
I
is.
agree with you fully. Oh, it's been a pleasure. I thank you so much, both of you, for being on my show.
Thank you for
Kaysha
having
and
us.
Dale Richardson, the Karis Project. And you want to follow me and follow what's going on with my show, and you'll always be able to find me there, despite what social media does, despite the fact that I don't curb my language, my little terminology. I call them actually homosexuals and LGBTQ, whatever it is. You can always find me at charliesimons.com. Please support my website. Please go there and please buy some merchandise in the store. You'll like, so there's some good stuff in there, and you'll be helping the show stay on the air. charliesimons.com, CharlieSimons. Hey, charliesimons.com. Hey, Dale and Kaysha, I need to see some Do Not Talk t-shirts up there in Canada. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America and North America and South America. But most importantly, America, bless God. Normally about here is where I would end the stream, but I'm going to have to recut that introduction I did because my microphone was muted. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to keep the stream going, and then I will take care of that in editing later. But thank you again so much, both of you, for being on the show. I really enjoyed it. And when I get it posted on my Rumble page, I'll send you the link and do what you want with it from there. You feel free to utilize it and use it however you like.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
It
right.
was a pleasure. See you later.
Bye.
All right. So for everyone still watching live, if you are still watching live, and you are, here's what I'm going to do because I screwed up in the beginning and I had my microphone muted. Gee whiz, what a rookie move. I'm going to have to redo my introduction that I did introducing Dale and Kaysha. So if you'll bear with me, this is for editing purposes only. And, you know, if you don't want to watch this, see you later. Okay, here we go. The show introduction for Dale and Kaysha Richardson and the Karis Project in 5, 4, 3. Well, there you are. I'm glad you got the invitation. Nice to see you showed up. I'm Charlie Simons here, your host on Do Not Talk, talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. One decides what life is going to be like here on Earth. The other one decides what it's going to be like when we leave it. I don't know about you, but growing up, I had so many people telling me, oh, never talk about politics and religion. It's too divisive. Oh, it'll just cause argument. It'll just cause hurt feelings. Never talk about politics and religion. You know what? That was ridiculous advice. Bad advice. Sorry, Pop. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you again someday, the Lord willing. I loved my grandfather, but he was one of the big ones always telling me that. Son, don't talk about politics and religion. Everybody, they'll never agree on anything. Well, because of that, we sat back and we shut up and became the silent majority. I hate that term. The silent majority has finally found its voice. Now we just need to get louder. And people like Dale and Kaysha Richardson, that's a dad and a daughter, Dale and Kaysha Richardson. They're up in Canada, by the way. I got to live there about half a year in a province called Alberta, which they basically call the Texas of Canada. And I loved it. And I loved the people there. And I just thought it was everywhere you went, it was so dang beautiful. And the people were so nice. They really were nice. You know, people down here make fun of how nice Canadians are. Really? Why don't you try and be more like that? It was a wonderful time. I'm glad I got to experience it, and I value that time. But I'm an American, native-born Californian, and I am surrounded by so much wickedness in my own state in ways that I never thought I'd see in my entire life. And it's now become prevalent and accepted, and that is the indoctrination of children, the sexual grooming of children, even the trafficking of children. These are things I'm fighting against. These are things I'm actually speaking out about, like Ephesians 5:11, be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them. That's what powers the show. That's what powers me. Exposing this wickedness and then doing something about it. Just talking about it is one thing, but doing something. What are you doing? How can you get involved? We got to speak up. We can't stay silent anymore. So Dale and Kaysha Richardson on my show here, and we're going to hear what's going on up there, what's happening with child grooming and everything else. According to them, it's worse in Canada than it is here. In California, I don't know about that. It's pretty wicked here. But I do want to ask you to do me two favors before we go on. One is to like this show right now because you help break down that algorithm in a social media world that hates people like me. They shut us up, they shut us down, they shadow ban us, they put us at the bottom of the page so you don't see it. But when you like it, it's their own algorithms. That's a way to work it against them. You like these shows, that helps. And also when you comment makes a big difference. So if you could comment too. But first, let's start with liking. Thank you. Wherever you're watching, on rumble.com/do-not-talk or on Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is, just like right now and you'll be helping. And then sharing these shows so people get that information out. Because the mainstream media is not going to show you what I'm about to show you. They're not going to talk about what I'm about to talk about. The other favor you could do for me is to go to my website and actually help me and support me there. You can support me financially too. As a matter of fact, several different ways on my website. The most prevalent being Venmo, venmo.com/do not talk. Cost me a lot of money to put this show on. And actually, frankly, in my current position, being on now that fixed income guy that I always said I never would be, and now I am. Yeah, that's what I get for saying never. You could help me financially, please, at charliesimons.com. And you can always see shows there, despite what social media does. And you can always get in touch with me there. And it's on a private server, so it's not being taken down by Google or GoDaddy or any of these other clowns. charliesimons.com, CharlieSimons. Please save it. Go there. Oh, and buy something in the merch store. Click that merch store tab. Let me know what you think of the stuff that's in there, the shirts, the cups, the hats. If you like it or if you have any suggestions, you can contact me through the website as well. These are all ways you can help be involved and join Team Charlie. I'd love to have your contact information. I'm never going to spam you, but you just click over there on the right side of the page, join Team Charlie, and I'll be able to get in touch with you again, despite, regardless of what happens on the internet. Even let's say Rumble, God forbid, suddenly goes all woke, which they are public now, so you never know. You can still keep in touch with me at charliesimons.com because it's on a private server. May God bless that and bless you for helping and keeping in touch and getting involved. Now, let's get into it. Dale Richardson and his daughter, Kaysha. Let's hear what things are like up in Canada when it comes to child grooming and sexualization of children. Hit it. Thank you, everybody who's still watching while I was doing that introduction. I hope it's good. I hope you follow through. Yeah, I'm serious about, please join Team Charlie so I can always keep in touch with you no matter what happens. Because Facebook took away all my pages a little over a month ago. Deleted everything because I violated community standards. They didn't bother explaining what that was. I've had pages blocked and where I couldn't post and they punished me and all this kind of stuff, but never did I have every single page I had because I got a country music thing on Facebook. I'd put all my eggs in that damn basket and now I'm paying for it. I don't have any ways to let all the 40,000 people suddenly, boom, I'm out of their life. I had an old friend of mine from way back write me and go, did I say something wrong? Or I do something or post something that made you mad? Because I see, have you blocked me? No. There's nothing you could do or say that would make me do that. No, Facebook took everything away. And my Instagram page too. So keeping in touch with me through my website and joining Team Charlie will be a big help. But thank you later. Thank you later. Thank you for staying and watching. And I'll see you.